Welcome to Real Estate Game Changers Radio, featuring real estate trendsetters and industry influencers, sharing tips and strategies to help home buyers and home sellers get the most out of their next real estate transaction. Now, here's your host, Suzanne Doyle-Ingram.
This is Suzanne Doyle-Ingram with Real Estate Game Changers Radio, and I'm so excited to have our guest, Delaine Campbell, on the call today. She is a wealth of information. You're going to love this interview. She's from Washington, D.C., and she has, after about 20 years of high-tech and consulting business experience, she went full-time into real estate. And she also happens to have a background in interior design. She's won lots of awards. You're going to love this interview. Welcome to the call, Delaine.
Hi, Susan. How are you today?
I'm great. Thank you so much for coming on the call. I want to start off right away by asking you, tell me about how you got into the real estate business after all those years in your high-tech experience that you've had.
Well, it's kind of funny. I had been buying and selling properties, and I listed and was selling 2 different properties within a 3-year period. And the real estate agent I had hired for each of those transactions botched the deal. I mean, really badly.
You know what?
And
I've heard
it wound
this before.
Well,
I'm sorry to hear that.
It was lawsuit material. And
Wow.
with my background in corporate negotiation and contracts, I just went, you know what, I can do this better. And I really like people, and I love selling, and I love real estate, and I had been buying and selling and flipping real estate. And so I got my license, and the rest is history. Here I am.
Wow. You know what that reminds me of? I've been thinking about this a lot lately. Sometimes when you go through something really, really bad, when you're in it, sometimes you can't really see the light through the trees, you know, but aren't you glad that happened, that those deals got botched, because you wouldn't be where you are today if that hadn't happened?
Well, that's true. I'd probably still be being button pushing in corporate jobs, high tech consulting for the government.
Oh, 9 to 5. Oh. Those are scary words. So that's really neat. So I would love to know more about your background. So tell me more about your career before you started in real estate, because I think I interview a lot of realtors, and I think it's fascinating how their previous experience helps so much with their real estate business. So I'd love to know more about that.
So I started out as a computer programmer. I actually was working in the computer industry back in the 70s, if you can believe
wow.
that. And it was, before PCs though, right? It was all the mainframe kind of stuff. And I taught myself to program COBOL, and then I moved from company to company, and I worked for different companies, and I wound up moving into sales and marketing and covered the 11 western states and western Canada. So I traveled to British Columbia quite often.
Wow, that's amazing.
And Hawaii was my territory. You got to love that, right?
Oh, lucky. You got paid to go to Hawaii. Oh, that's amazing.
Yes, every other Sunday.
What? Are you kidding me?
No, my clients, I had some really large clients in Hawaii. So
and what were you
anyway,
selling?
I did that. And
the computer stuff? Sorry to interrupt you. Were you selling the computer? Were you selling the computer software, or?
Yeah, software and hardware. Yeah.
Oh, that's so neat. Cool. And let me ask you one more thing.
Yeah, so that was fun.
I have another question, because I'm a very curious person, especially when you it seemed like pretty non-traditional career in the 70s. Were you among the only women? I'm wondering if it was all men and everyone's like, oh wow, you're good at math, how weird, kind of thing.
Oh, no. There were a lot of women in the industry, the computer industry then.
Oh, neat. Oh, that's so good to know. Okay, we'll talk more about that another time. So then what happened? You were doing sales and marketing.
Oh, so yeah, sales and marketing. I mean, I was in sales and marketing. I moved to a couple of different companies, moved back and forth across the United States 4 times for job promotions and changes. And then later wound up in telecommunications working for an international company. And then, so here's the other thing. I moved back to the East Coast, and I was working for an international company based here. but my corporate office and my boss was in Brussels and Paris.
Wow.
So poor me, I had to fly to Paris every 3 weeks to go meet with my boss.
Wow.
So
Ooh la la, bonjour. That's awesome.
Yeah, bonjour. So anyway, I did that, and then I left the corporate. I had an opportunity to be a senior partner in a consulting firm that was specializing in process improvement and training, project management, PMPs, and doing process improvement projects for big, like Fortune 500 companies. So I took that job, and that. What's that?
I was going to say any improvement that you could do for them would probably save them millions of dollars, right?
It did. Yeah, it did. Wow. It was really great because you can see the results.
Mm-hmm.
So did that, and then went to another big consulting company here in the D.C. area that worked for the government, the military. So I was a military managing person, contracting, doing government contracting, and I got into real estate.
Wow. And so,
all the contract all the contract negotiation, my training in contracts, writing contracts, negotiating contracts, all my background in sales and marketing, everything just played right into real estate. And it's really given me a great foundation for real estate because, with the ability to think outside of the box, to be creative, to come up with ways to win the deal, to write the offer, to market the properties, to get them sold. I mean, all of it is just drawing on my background and training and education, for many, many years.
Absolutely. So let's move into, I want to ask you what you love about your career in real estate.
It's the people. I just love helping people, and I'm a people person. So I love meeting new people. I love helping people find a home or sell a home, achieve their goals. And most of my clients, I developed such great relationships. Most of them, 99% of them, maybe more, are my friends. They come to my parties. I go to their parties. They give me referrals. So, it's really a great way to meet people and to interact with people, which I really like.
Yeah, I love it too. And I love what I do, but I always think I should be a realtor. I love real estate and I love working with people, but I do think you work very long hours and you have to work evenings and weekends, and I think that's one of the things that I wouldn't like about real estate.
Well, that's true, and this job's not for everybody because when it's busy, you have to be really on the ball. And you may not get to bed till 1 o'clock in the morning. I mean, I stayed up till 2 o'clock in the morning negotiating and writing offers for people not long ago. And you do work every weekend, and you work nights, especially in the summertime when it's daylight longer and people can go see houses after they get off work. You might be showing houses. I mean, I'm out there maybe until 8 p.m. at night showing houses. So, and you can't, we have a joke in the industry that says if business is slow, just plan a getaway, plan a vacation or plan to leave town for a few days, because as soon as you do, the phone's going to start ringing off the hook.
Oh, that's so funny. That's so true, isn't it? That's hilarious.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I think, and the thing is, you have to work when people are not working. So if most of your clients are 9-to-5ers, you have to work in the evenings. It's just the way it is.
That's the way it is. Yeah, thank God we have technology now.
Yeah, and it's so flexible. You really do create your own. You create your own business, and you create it however you want it to be.
That's true.
Yeah. So tell me, I know you're in Washington, D.C. Tell me what's great about, being in Washington. What if somebody was listening from somewhere else in the country, and I want you to tell me why people should move to Washington, D.C. and what's so great about it?
Well, I mean, it's hard to say because there's so much things. I mean, right now the cherry blossoms are blooming.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
and
beautiful.
The cherry blossoms all over the city, the pear trees, the tulip trees, the cherry trees, the daffodils, the forsythia. I mean, spring is just such a beautiful time. Everything is blooming right now. The tulips are all coming up. I mean, it's just stunning.
Yeah.
And over here where I'm at, I'm across the river in a historic area, historic Old Town Alexandria. It was founded in the late 1700s.
Oh,
so
wow.
It's right here on the waterfront of the river. It's full of cobblestone streets, buildings from the 1700s. And Money Magazine just named Alexandria the #1 best travel destination.
Oh, wow. I want to come there. It sounds so beautiful.
It is really pretty. And, of course, we have the Smithsonian and the museums and the art galleries and the Washington Monument and the Jefferson and the Lincoln and, just memorials and museums. And there's always concerts and free things and the boat rides. We're a waterfront city here, so we're very much, like Vancouver or Seattle as far as, we've got water taxis. We can walk down to the end of the street and hop on the water taxi and ride it downtown to the mall. So.
Oh, I was just in Miami north of Miami in Hollywood Beach, and they have water taxis there too, and it's just amazing. I love it.
Yeah, it's really cool, and it's a beautiful city. D.C. is just such a clean, well-maintained city. It used to not be that way, but it is now. I mean, it's a great destination place now.
Well, that's great to know. And what about the restaurants and the nightlife and that kind of thing?
Oh, my God, there's something for everybody. I mean, just here on King Street in Old Town, we've got 100 restaurants probably, outdoor dining, the free trolley that runs from the waterfront to the metro. And then, of course, in D.C., there's hundreds and hundreds of restaurants. And, people like Chinatown, and they like the H Street corridor, or they like, the Capitol Hill area. There's so many little boroughs within D.C.
Oh, that's so neat. Oh, okay. You've sold me. I'm coming to visit.
Okay, I'll sell you a house. Come on over.
Okay, yeah, there you go. Well, that's so funny. When I was in Miami, I was meeting with a client of mine who's a realtor, and as I was waiting for her in her office, someone who works for her, she was a broker, and one of her agents came out and tried to sell me a house.
That's our job, right?
You're good. Yeah, you're really good at that. It was awesome. So let's get back to real estate. I want to know a little bit more about, I know you work in residential sales, and if you had to say that you had a specialty, what would it be?
Gosh, I'm not sure. I mean, if residential, definitely this DC area. But I think my specialty is really my ability, because I come from a background of tradespeople, my uncles, my dad, my brothers, brother-in-laws. Yeah. We were all in the building business, and I've done so many renovations of houses. I can't even remember how many it is at this point. I think I have a really great ability to help people see that a house can become a home. And
that's fantastic.
When you go into a vacant place and, they're kind of looking at it like, oh my God, it's not what I want, you can say, yeah, but let me get my paint deck out of my car and let's pick a paint color while we're here. And let's talk about the refinishing the floors. And, if we redid the kitchen, these are the kind of cabinets. Like, I keep my design books and everything in my car so that when we're at properties, I can help them imagine what it's going to be like, not necessarily what it is like. And, most people don't have deep pockets to do big renovations, but I call it TLC. It's really, I have a really great ability to find houses at good prices that need a little bit of TLC.
Oh, good.
And then help the buyer buy them. And then afterwards, I provide design services to my clients to help them do the painting and the carpet and the wood and the floors and the furniture or whatever they need. That's part of my services.
That's fantastic. And that's one thing we haven't talked about yet is I want to talk more about your background in interior design. And before we do, I want to say I think what you're doing is fantastic, because I'm sure you realize this, but I didn't really realize this until recently, that I cannot visualize how things are going to look. And I know interior designers and architects are really good at that, and sometimes they don't know that other people can't do that. And I remember looking at houses, the first house that my ex-husband and I bought together. I remember, I would just look at it face value, like look at it for what it was and say, oh, I don't like it. But if I'd had someone that said, okay, well, we can refinish these floors, that'll cost you $1,000 or whatever, right? And that did what you did, it would be completely different because I can't visualize how things are going to look. It's amazing to me. So tell me more about that, and when along the way did you get involved in interior design, because you were busy doing sales and marketing, consulting and everything. So how did that happen?
It was when I lived out west in California. I was starting to fix up houses, and I had bought a house, and I connected with a lady named Elaine, and she had a beautiful store, and she was an interior designer. So she just started teaching me tricks, and then I went to Sheffield School of Interior Design in New York. I did the, it wasn't online back then. It was like mail order, and then you only had to go there like once a quarter and do that. So I did that and learned the basics, but I mostly taught myself through my reading and actual hands-on stuff. And I did it while I was still working full-time jobs, and it was more of a hobby than anything else. And I would do my neighbors' houses and my friends' houses, and then kind of word started spreading, and then I had business cards printed, and then it just kind of became a business. And I was actually doing that full-time for about 3 to 4 years after I came back here. Wow. And then I just blended it into the real estate business.
That's perfect. I mean, I just think that is fantastic because, you know what, to be honest with you, I've lived in this house that I'm in now for 11 years. How old is my son? 11 years. And I'm so embarrassed to say this, but when we bought it, I remember thinking, I have got to change the master bath. It has to be completely renovated, and I haven't done it yet. It's just kind of put it off. But if I had a realtor that said, hey, this is what I think you should do. What do you think? Got my opinion on it, got my, buy-in, and then had a company that would just come and do it, it would have been done 11 years ago.
Well, and that's the thing too. What is unfortunate is a lot of sellers, they wait until they're selling their house to renovate their kitchen or their bathroom.
Yes. Oh yeah.
And they never get to enjoy it.
Yeah.
And then when they do it, they go, maybe we shouldn't sell our house. We really like it now. But of course they're moving or their job is transferring them. But I go, well, yeah, you should have done this like 10 years ago or 5 years ago, so you could have at least enjoyed it while you lived there. It's kind of crazy that you're putting all this money into the house just so you can sell it. Yeah,
it's backwards, isn't it?
Yeah, why not do it? I mean, I really encourage people to, if that's the one takeaway from this radio interview, if people listen to it, it's like, don't put off renovations. Do them now and enjoy them. And then someday when you sell the house, stuff is already done, and then it really just has to be staged and maybe just a little bit of facelift, as I call it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Botox for houses, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I love that. Well, I always think that about my own home. I'm like, it has good bones. It just needs a little cosmetic surgery. Some Botox here and there. So I want to ask you, this is not to put you on the spot, but if someone came to you and said, okay, Delaine, I got to sell my home quickly. Maybe they're relocating or they're getting divorced or something. So what advice would you give them?
Gosh, I mean, it really depends on the house, the condition of the house and stuff like that, because you use the word quickly.
Yeah.
Quickly can mean 3 days. Quickly can mean 90 days. It depends on the house and the location. So really that answer is going to be different for every single client.
Right. And I guess even their reason why they're selling, you need to get into that with them too, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's the whole location, the marketing, the condition of the house. Does it need to be painted? Does it need new floors? Does it need new carpet? Is it ready to go? Does it look stellar? Is it ready for photographs? If you walk into a house and it's like totally done and photograph ready, then you can get it on the market and, probably sell it pretty quickly. But if it's not ready to go, the first 14 days on the market are the most critical. And the people who come through the first time, those are the people that you want to grab to write the offer, because the longer the house sits there, the harder it's going to be to get people. People don't come back. You know, they don't look at the house and then, you know, later it's like, oh, we took it off the market and renovated it, now come back. Those buyers have probably already bought something.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, timing is everything, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I mean, when you put a house on the market, it needs to be ready to go. And if it's not ready, it better be priced really low to get somebody who will come in and, as is, and willing to fix it up. That's a huge problem right now, though, because most buyers, especially younger buyers, they don't have the money after the fact. And it's easier for them to put another $40,000 to $50,000 in a mortgage payment over 30 years. It's pretty insignificant, the difference in the monthly payment, to get a house that's already fixed up versus buying a house and then having to come up with $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 somewhere to do the renovation.
Renovate it. Yeah, absolutely.
That's why most buyers, you know, the largest population of buyers that are out there, they're looking for houses that are ready to move into, that don't need work.
And everybody's so busy nowadays, and I think it's just overwhelming unless something's really, you know, they are looking specifically for a fixer-upper. A very, you know, few people are like that. But the average person who works full-time, who has 3 kids, who also volunteers or whatever, I'm talking about myself, all that stuff, there's no way I'd want to buy a house and have to fix it up. There's just no way. Yeah,
and, you know, it's a different, the younger people, it's different from, like, my generation. Like, I own a toolbox. I've always had a toolbox. I know I have a drill. I have things. I know how to do things because my parents taught me to do things.
Yeah, me too.
But the generation of kids that have grown up with white-collar parents, you know, that's mostly on the academic side and, you know, the jobs in the college, they didn't really get as much of, you know, carpentry, let's say. So the idea of, it's not that they wouldn't want to do it, it's they don't know how to do it. They don't even know how to think like that. And I'm not saying everybody, I'm not trying to categorize everybody, but
I know what you mean.
It's just, it's easier for them to just buy something ready to go. And then let's say they're computer programmers or they're in the high-tech industry. That's their job and that's what they're really good at. They would rather spend their 10 hours a day doing that than to have to learn all these new skills, you know, to fix up a house. And
absolutely.
That's
They'd
where
rather
the
just
difference
pay
is.
somebody to do it,
Right, and a lot of them, they don't have the money to pay somebody to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's why it's easier to finance. And I always have that discussion with my buyers, like, okay, are you okay to buy something that needs major fix-up or some lipstick on the pig? Or do you want totally move-in ready? Because that's going to be a different, that's going to be a difference of maybe $50,000-$60,000 in price. And then what I do is talk to the lender, get them on the phone, and then have the lender do 3 scenarios. Like, okay, if you bought this at this price, it's this much per month, so that they can see the difference is maybe only $40 a month to get into a house that's ready to go.
Oh, yeah, that's great. That's a really good way of doing it. So, and especially so they're fully educated and they know exactly what they're getting into.
Yeah, that's really important. Educating the home buyer is just so important, and it doesn't matter what age the home buyer is. There's always something that they need to be educated on. I don't care how many times they've bought and sold homes. There's still something that they need to know.
Yeah, and you know, it's funny. I think I've bought and sold 3 times, but you know, it's like 10 years or something in between the last one. But the last house, it was 11 years ago. So if I was to buy a new house, I'd be practically a newbie because I wouldn't remember anything that happened. And plus, I love working with a realtor and I trust my realtor. And so I would, I don't ask a lot of questions really because I just know they know what they're doing, you know. But speaking of trusting your realtor, I want to ask you, when you're working with people, with sellers, what advice do you give them to help them get the maximum asking price for their home?
Definitely fix the house up, just make it look as good as it can. A fresh coat of paint, new lighting, new light fixtures, new switches, new outlets, some staging, or complete, if it's vacant property, definitely staged with furniture.
Right, yeah.
And the outside, the curb appeal is still important. It's like, put some pots of geranium, get the grass done, get the edging done, trim the bushes or plant some azaleas so there's some flowers depending on the time of year. So, it goes back to what we were talking about earlier, just getting the house ready for market, so that it shows its best.
Right. And then what about, when there's a showing, what kind of advice do you give them to make the house look its best? I mean, I know some people say make sure all the curtains are open and all the lights are on and that kind of thing.
That hasn't changed a lot. That's still kind of the advice we give people. I have a checklist that I give them so they can keep it on their kitchen counter.
Oh, perfect.
So it really is, make sure the windows are open, the sink doesn't have dirty dishes, the house doesn't smell bad. If you just finished cooking a meal, burn some candles, make sure it smells good. In the old days, they used to always tell you to bake cookies in the oven so that the house smelled like chocolate chip cookies.
Yeah, but now you can buy that scent.
Seriously, it's like, who bakes chocolate chip cookies anymore?
I know.
They have spray in a can that smells like chocolate chip cookies. Just spray.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's so true, isn't it? You just buy the scent. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. And it's hard, people living in a bubble for a period of time. And I mean, especially, let's say, a young couple with a baby. Mm-hmm. It's really hard for them when their house is on the market because they always have to keep it picked up. You always got to be ready for that phone call that says, hey, you got somebody that wants to see your house in 2 hours.
Yeah.
Or an hour.
Oh my gosh.
Or we're out front. Can we see your house? So it's really hard, and sellers get really frustrated. What I've noticed is if they have kids, little kids, after about 3 weeks, they're pretty tired of having to keep the house looking stellar all the time.
Oh, it's a ton of work. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. I mean, gosh, I'm an adult, and it's hard for me to keep my house looking stellar all the time.
That's when it's nice to have a cleaner come in once a week or once every, just to do the floors. That's what I have at my house, and she comes in and does the floors. And then she came in yesterday, and then last night my daughter was using the 3-hole punch for a school project and managed to get the little tiny circles of paper all over the living room floor and said to me, oh, I'll clean that up tomorrow. And I'm like,
right.
No, I don't think we're going to have these holes all over the floor for 12 hours in our living room, but that's what kids do, right? And so
it's what kids do. That's why God made dustbusters.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, totally. Okay, so I want to get back into, I have some other questions for you. So one of them is, tell me about the awards that you've won for your work.
Oh, goodness. You have to ask me that without a list in front of me, right? Let's see.
Well, I know. I guess I could read them all.
No, Northern Virginia Association of Realtors, I'm a lifetime member, top producer. I won Zillow's Best Realtor Award a couple years ago.
Oh, wow. Wow.
I won,
that's pretty cool.
Washingtonian Magazine's Top 99 Realtors. I've won that 3 years in a row. And they always have a big party. Yeah, they always have a really nice party and do photographs and stuff. That's always a fun thing.
Oh, good.
We have the president's, I forget what it's called here at the company. I should know it. The Gold Club or whatever for the high performers.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm a, graduate. Oh, one thing I'm really proud of is I got selected out of the entire state of Maryland. They only select a few realtors each year to attend the Maryland Leadership Institute.
Oh, wow.
And I graduated from that a couple years ago. I was selected to attend. You have to fill out an application, write an essay, and then they interview you in front of a panel. And I got selected to attend it, and it's a 6 or 8 month commitment. And I graduated from that, and so I'm a graduate of the Maryland Leadership Academy, which is pretty cool.
Great. Yeah,
and I'm also a graduate realtor, what they call a GRI, which is Graduate Realtor Institute. Mm-hmm. And I think it's only 27% of realtors nationwide achieve GRI.
Oh, wow.
It takes people usually about 5 years to complete the education requirements for it. But I did mine in 1 year.
Wow, really? You're such a go-getter. Yeah. Wow. That's amazing.
Well, you know what? I just traveled instead of waiting for classes like on the schedule here locally.
Okay.
I found the GRI classes and I traveled. I mean, I went to South Carolina. I went to New York. I went to Boston. I went to Maryland. I went to Virginia. I drove to Richmond. So
that's great. Good. Just get her done, right?
Get it done. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, speaking of you're living so close to Washington D.C. and in Alexandria. So, how are you involved in your community? Do you have any time to be involved in your community?
Yeah, I do things, seasonal. So we have a big holiday thing here around December, and I get involved in that. And we have an art fair here, and I do some work at that. I was volunteering with a place called Lift Me Up Therapeutic Riding. And it's a stable where kids with autism or ADD or veterans who are disabled come out and ride the horses, and we take them on trail rides and walk, standing by the horse, we can lead them and walk and let them ride in the arena.
Nice.
So that was always really cool. And I donate. I'm a big donate. We have a thing up in Maryland. It's called Backpacks for Kids. And
great.
Every year in September, we stuff the backpacks with school supplies and give it to the kids. The Department of Social...
Yeah. Sorry, go on.
The Department of Social Services gives us a list of the kids that are needy. So, last year I think it had 100 and something kids on it. So,
wow.
We stuff the backpacks, and we do. There's another thing I really enjoy doing. It's some hat and gloves, warm hearts is what it's called. And
nice.
In the wintertime, we donate hats, gloves, and scarves to those same needy people. And that way the kids, when they're at the bus stops, they have gloves and hats and scarves to keep them warm in the wintertime. So lots of little things
nice.
like that. I'm a big supporter of a thing called Operation Blessing. And Operation Blessing does lots of things. They help drill wells for people, so overseas, so they don't have to walk miles and miles to get fresh water. The one that's near and dear to me is the cleft palate surgery for babies, so that the children don't have to grow up with, the cleft palate disability, because in a lot of foreign countries, the kids would be totally cast out for that minor deformity. So the doctors fix that. And the other one that's really cool, which kind of blows my mind, those white plastic cheap lawn chairs? They're made out of plastic. So the organization takes those and puts wheels on them and makes wheelchairs for kids.
What? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's really cool. So I love donating to that. Yeah, it's just great. So those are I have a soft spot for doing things that help children, because children, they can't help themselves. And if they have deformities, or they can't get where they're going, or they can't get the help that they need so that they can grow up into adults that maybe start micro jobs or micro businesses, micro industries, or maybe they can go to college. I mean, if it's a matter of, getting the kid a pair of crutches so they can go to school, or the plastic wheelchair, or fixing their cleft palate so they can advance in life. Those are really simple things that we can help with.
Yeah, and you're also doing it for the parents. Because I think it must be so heartbreaking. I was just saying you're also giving this blessing to the parents of those children, because it must be so heartbreaking to be a parent in a third world country or anywhere and not be able to help your child. So to have this stranger help you must be so heartwarming for them.
Oh, yeah, they're always incredibly grateful. I mean, I don't have the opportunity to go out and into the field, but I get my reports back and I talk to people who go and, stay involved in the organization. So it's pretty cool. A little bit makes a lot, and I try to donate 10% of what I make in my real estate profession back, because I believe if you give back that you will be blessed with business. So the more I give, the more business I get, and it just kind of keeps coming. So it's great.
I totally agree with that. Yeah. And to whom much is given, much is expected, I think.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we're definitely on the same page with that. And that's why I wanted to interview you, because the name of the show is Real Estate Game Changers, and I absolutely think that you are a real estate game changer, because you are so kind and so generous, and you're an educator and you're an advocate for the success of your clients. And so it's been so wonderful having you on the show today. I'm just so grateful that you made the time. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. It was great talking to you again. I hope we do it again soon.
Yeah, I know. I hope so, too. So for our listeners that are listening, can you just give us some information about how they can get a hold of you, like your website, if you want to give your phone number, your Facebook, or that kind of thing? How can people reach you?
Sure. The best way is email. It's Delaine, DELAINE, at DelaineSells, SELLS.com.
Okay, perfect. So this is Delaine Campbell. She's in Washington, D.C., and you can reach her at Delaine at DelaineSells.com. Thank you again so much for coming on the call today.
Thank you. Have a great day. Bye.
You too.
This has been another episode of Real Estate Game Changers Radio with your host, Suzanne Doyle-Ingram. To hear all episodes featuring our hand-picked real estate game changers, visit us online at www.realestategamechangersradio.com.